Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs, the Honourable Phillip Watts, yesterday distributed over $3 million TT in grants to 70 athletes, sports serving bodies, and national governing bodies during a ceremony held at the National Racquet Sports Centre in Tacarigua. How often did you hear about those kind of things taking place? Government investing into sports here in Trinidad and Tobago under the mighty morphin Ghana Yam weaning, taxing, bicycle, belt tightening, coal pot, PNM. The grants were awarded under the ministry's Athlete Assistance Program and are intended to provide critical financial support to athletes as they prepare for and participate in international competitions. Delivering the feature address, Minister Watts described the initiative as a reaffirmation of this government's commitment to excellence in sport and to the holistic development of young people across Trinidad and Tobago. PNM Patriots, remember you used to be hearing about complaining about how the athletes would not be properly funded under the PNM. But of course, back then, making sacrifices for king and country, for emperor and country, was a patriotic thing to do. It was wonderful to do. Not now, you know. Patriotism gone. You want everything one time. Be the change you want to see. That was the advice given by Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander to students of El Dorado West Secondary School at the launch of a special psychosocial intervention and educational engagement initiative on Wednesday. Director of the Policy and Community Support Office at the Ministry of Homeland Security, Zahir Ali, explained that the initiative aims to connect students with members of society who can steer them along the right path. This initiative is expected to be rolled out in schools across the country. Now, this is one of the reasons why, in spite of, personally, I'm having a lot of issues with Roger Alexander and don't think that he's the most suitable person for the position of Homeland Security. This is why I'm not going to continue just opposing the man for opposing's sake, because I'm seeing that he's still trying these types of programs. Reaching out to the youths to try to get them and set them on the right path is something that is important, really important. And it was something that the PNM claims that they were trying to introduce as well. And yet you're just coming out and just criticizing the man right through. Do I like a lot of the things he says in public? No. Hell no. Especially how he suggested that the Trinidad people, citizens, should not have the rights to be able to upload and post videos showing police officers committing crimes. I will never agree with that. But at the end of the day, putting all those things aside, the man is still doing a reasonably good job. And let's just say that Gary Griffith ended up getting his position. Most likely, I will agree with a lot more with what Gary Griffith says. But there are things that I disagree with Gary Griffith as well, like how he does not want, or he does not approve of a national giving all citizens the rights to be able to bear arms. That's what I'm trying to say. He doesn't agree with that. He says it's going to cause chaos. Chaos. When all you need to do is make sure and have a program in place, proper vetting to ensure that citizens do not have criminal record and so forth. And people with mental illness are not given these firearms to be able to utilize. That's what you need to do. You know, so you don't have it completely like certain places in America where it's extremely easy to be able to obtain a firearm. But it should not be that you need approval from the Commissioner of Police. As long as you could go in a store, wherever it is, and be able to present your documents, official documents, proving that you have a clean bill of health, that you do not have any sort of mental illness, and you have a certificate of good character, you're supposed to be able to obtain a firearm. It's simple as that, people. But getting back to this thing here as well, what he's doing here is wonderful, getting to the youth. But what you need to do, Roger Alexander, while you're doing that, and your government needs to come out and completely condemn gang culture, because it's all well and good to be going and guiding the youth on the right path. But when they're hearing the DJs on the radio stations wheeling, selected, running the tunes again that promote drug use and promote violence and gang affiliation, when they're hearing that, they believe it's lit, they believe it's normal, they believe it's a normal part of life. The government needs to do a lot more to dismantle, destroy gang culture indoctrination in Trinidad and Tobago.
Be the change you want to see. So we wait. I don't want to see anybody from the school going forward in any problems with the law. All right?
Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander, as he addressed students of the El Dorado West Secondary School on Wednesday at the launch of a special psychosocial intervention and educational engagement initiative.
To win. We cannot afford to see more youths go down that path without some type of intervention. I said the first thing in policing is prevention, intervention, and then incarceration. So we're trying to avoid all incarceration. Let's do prevention and intervention. And that is what this team have decided to do.
Director of Policy and Community Support Office at the Ministry of Homeland Security, Zahir Ali, explained that the initiative aims to connect students with members of society that can steer them along the right path.
We recognize that we need to bring some of our sporting icons, our professionals from psychology, social work, criminology, from the TTPS, from the prison service, including inmates, to be able to make that impact or to have that conversation with our nation youth.
Deputy Commissioner of Police Junior Benjamin recalled failing a police examination, using his experience to encourage students not to be discouraged by failure.
Because when they called my name, I thought I passed. And then I heard the news, all those who have your name just called, that's the way to the gate. You have just failed your exam. I went home, tears in my eyes, and I'm saying, God, how could you do this to me? And I remember my mom said this one thing. She said, son, if God has a plan for you, nobody could change it. By the time she said that, I was changing. I got a call, and it was the police service on the next line.
The initiative is expected to be rolled out in schools across the country. Daniel John, TTT News.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago. Thursday, April 23, 2026. General conditions. Mostly fair and hazy throughout the day. Partly cloudy periods are likely to bring isolated showers from late morning to the afternoon. Regional outlook. Trinidad, high of 31 degrees Celsius and a low of 25 degrees Celsius, a 35 to 45% chance of light rain is forecasted for the afternoon. Tobago, highs will reach around 30 degrees Celsius with a low of 24 degrees Celsius. Conditions will be generally fair and breezy. Atmospheric conditions. Saharan dust, a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust will be present. Persons with respiratory sensitivities are advised to take necessary precautions. Heat index, the perceived temperature will feel like 35 degrees Celsius with humidity levels between 65% to 90%. Wind and seas, winds will blow from the ENE to ESE at 5 to 30 km per hour. Seas will remain slight to moderate with open water waves between 1.0 meters to 1.5 meters. Upcoming outlook. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service notes that a wetter period with heavy showers and thunderstorms is expected to begin later this week.
Regional news now. Guyana has moved to expand its forest restoration strategy with the launch of a major bamboo pilot project aimed at rehabilitating degraded lands while creating sustainable economic opportunities in forest-dependent communities. The Ministry of Natural Resources, through the Guyana Forestry Commission on Wednesday, commenced the initiative titled Piloting Bamboo for Restoration and Sustainable Livelihoods in Guyana, marking the country's first large-scale push to integrate bamboo into its restoration framework. The project builds on the National Forest Restoration Initiative, a joint effort between the GFC and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, which since 2023 has been exploring alternative restoration pathways, including non-timber forest products and agroforestry, sounds good, systems alongside native species, because of course you really want to keep preserve your natural forest as well. Wonderful news once again coming out from Guyana. Caribbean Cement Company says ongoing heavy rainfall in Jamaica has disrupted its operations, leading to challenges in cement production and delays in meeting demand. In a statement on Wednesday, the company advised that persistent bad weather has affected raw material conditions and contributed to equipment and process disruptions, which have temporarily reduced production levels. The company acknowledged that some delays continue to heighten demand, compounded by the adverse weather conditions, but noted that efforts are actively underway to restore optimal production. Optimal production, yeah, but just no rainy season coming again. So just brace yourselves. That's the most I will say. We continue to pray for Jamaica that it will recover fully in Jesus' name and be protected from future storms. Even if it does take place, that any sort of significant damage will take place. The rising cost of residential elderly care in Barbados has prompted a call for state intervention to ensure these essential services remain accessible to the general public. Minister in the Prime Minister's office, Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, recently argued that that private care fees have drifted beyond the reach of ordinary Barbadians, creating a significant social and economic gap. To address this, she proposed that the government consider regulating fees for private elderly care facilities, much like the rate-setting mechanism used in other professional sectors. This move highlights a growing concern that without oversight, the high cost of aging will place an unsuitable burden on families and the national healthcare infrastructure. This proposal is rooted in a broader shift toward viewing the care economy as a critical pillar of national development rather than a secondary social issue. Dr. Monroe-Knight emphasized that when care is unaffordable, it forces productive citizens, particularly women, out of the workforce to provide unpaid home care, which ultimately stunts economic growth. By suggesting price regulations, the government signals an intent to treat elderly care as a public necessity. This context frames the debate not just as a matter of health care costs, but as a strategic economic decision aimed at protecting the financial stability of households and ensuring the dignity of the island's aging population. Now, number one, I don't really like the idea in the first place of families putting their parents and grandparents in aged homes for the aged, unless it's really a situation where they need medical attention at all times and you cannot do it at home. Something about that I just don't like. Even if you have to hire a nurse, a caretaker to come to your home to be able to assist in taking care of them, it has a lot of those kind of programs here in Trinidad and Tobago, where people go to the individuals' homes and take care of them at home. I think that's what the Barbados government should be promoting and suggesting. But besides that, once again, just like I was speaking a little while ago about a situation in Jamaica, I think it's on my other channel, where the government wants to intervene and tell private individuals who own up buses that they cannot increase their fares and so forth. To me, that sounds a whole lot like socialism, controlling price control. Now, even Trinidadians like to talk about this price control stuff like that. But I support capitalism, a free market. And what the government should do in a case like that is to be able to probably even provide more public services as an alternative for these individuals. Like even in Barbados, you want to probably have some more public homes for the aged or whatsoever, and tell them what types of fees they can charge. But you want to be telling individuals who belong to the private sector what kind of prices that they can charge. In other words, you're telling them that don't study the high cost of living and the high cost of maintenance. Just obey the government. That I cannot agree with, people. Sorry, but I just can't agree with that. Morton salt workers in Inagua, Bahamas have rejected proposed downsizing options, which include either 75% staff reductions, wow, like a quarter the staff going, or shift to 20-hour work weeks, signaling an impasse in industrial negotiations. While the company cites long-term viability for the drastic measures, union leadership warns of devastating impacts on the local community during the transition to new ownership under the Luska Group. Wow, that sounds quite interesting You're talking about a lot of people going to lose their jobs, and if not, they're going to lose a certain amount of they're going to be receiving a smaller salary because of limited work hours. But it's better they will at least have a job still, even if your salary is going to be a little less.
The planned transition of molten salt operation is expected to take place. But however, we have now been informed that the transition cannot move forward at this time because of the outgoing back tax and being requested by the government for inland revenue, which the company has operated. The company has indicated that, all right? The amount of being requested is too high, not feasible for them to pay under the current circumstances.
Well, Ingram says union members strongly rejected both options, citing Morton Salt Company as the backbone of the Matthewtown and Nagua economy. Tonight, he's urging those in government to hear the group out for the betterment of workers and the entire quaint island community.
Morton Salt has been strong and employees has been meeting the target. However, workers are not caught. Workers are caught in the middle of this course negotiation between the company and the government. Morton Salt is one of the largest employer in Matthewtown, and we approximately hired 60 employees, including management. A significant reduce will have a serious economic impact on this island. We are respectfully calling on the government, even the opposition, including the Prime Minister, relevant officials, to urgently meet with Morton Salt to explore the solution that keeps the employees working.
International news now. Secretary of the Navy, John C. Phelan, has resigned from the Trump administration, effective immediately. A sudden departure that comes amid heightening tensions between the civilian leadership of the military and the White House. Remember, there are a lot of woke Democrats within the military, ones that even wanted the military to identify in ways that they're not, well, military members to be able to identify in things that they're not supposed to even identify as. But anyhow, while Phelan officially cited personal and family reasons for his exit, the timing has sparked significant speculation as it follows reports of internal disagreements regarding the administration's aggressive military posture in the Middle East and the handling of Navy personnel policies. His resignation leaves a critical vacancy at the Pentagon during a period of active operations in Iran, with President Trump quickly announcing retired Admiral Jim Foggo as the intended nominee to lead the department. I don't know if that's going to be temporary or permanently. This rapid turnover underscores a period of volatility within the administration's defensive team as it seeks to align military leadership more closely with the president's America First strategic objectives, which is a good objective, people. And America First for the QAnon far right. And of course, even, well, the far left don't care about America First anyhow. But the QAnon far right, the Russian far right, America First doesn't mean America only, and that's what you all are talking about. Forget about the whole world, forget about Israel, and just study about America alone. America First includes others, the taking care of other nations, because when you take care of them, it benefits your people anyhow you take it. When you preserve democracy, when you prevent terrorists like the Iranians from being able to acquire nuclear weapons, still comes back to America First. When you start with Israel, God will bless you, and therefore your people will still benefit. So, but besides that, you cannot just be caring about your own country alone, which is what America only is all about. America First means to put your priorities first, of course. All nations should do that. But you have to also care about others in the world, especially when you just leave those things abandoned, it still ends up affecting your country adversely. An unidentified drone reportedly targeted the headquarters of Komala Party of Iranian Kurdistan in the Suran area of Erbil, province on April 22nd, 2026, so a few days ago. This strike, which occurred as tensions remain high in northern Iraq, resulted in at least 3 injuries among party members. Local security sources and party officials confirmed that the site, which serves as both a military headquarters and a residence for the families of opposition fighters, was struck by multiple drones during the afternoon. While no group has officially claimed responsibility for this specific event, the Komala leadership has historically attributed such operations to regional actors and affiliated militias active in the area. They always are fighting amongst themselves. But nobody talks about that, because no Jews, no news. Israel not involved, so no one is going to actually talk about it much, especially here in Trinidad and Tobago, tribal Trinidad and Tobago.
Interesting facts and inspirational true stories. At 80, Yushiro Miura reached the summit of Mount Everest for the 3rd time, setting a record as the oldest climber to do so. He completed the climb in May 2013, decades after first making Everest part of his life's journey. Having already summited at ages 70 and 75, and after undergoing multiple heart surgeries, his achievement reflected years of training, medical support, and relentless determination. Miura's story shows that pushing human limits isn't about one moment but a lifetime of discipline, resilience, and purpose. Welcome to Real Conservative. Headline News Travel Adventures. The Boli waterfalls are one of the most majestic natural landmarks in the Central African Republic, situated about 95 kilometers northwest of the capital city, Bangui. Formed by the Mbali River, these falls drop nearly 50 meters over a wide, vertical cliff, creating a thundering curtain of water that spans over 250 meters in width. Beyond their immense beauty, the falls are a vital lifeline for the region, as the rushing waters are used to generate hydroelectric power for the surrounding communities and the capital. For those visiting the falls, the experience is both powerful and serene. Travelers can admire the view from the top of the cliff, where the river suddenly disappears into the mist below, or descend a winding path to the base for a closer look at the crashing water and rising spray. A unique feature of the site is the nearby Monkey Bridge, a traditional-style cable bridge that offers an adventurous way to cross the river and gain a different perspective of the lush, green valley. The surrounding landscape of wooded savanna provides a peaceful backdrop for photography and nature walks. The best time to witness the full grandeur of Boli is during the rainy season when the river is at its highest, though the site remains a popular destination throughout the year. Because it is located just a 2-hour drive from Bangui, it serves as a primary escape for locals and international visitors alike. Whether standing at the edge of the overlook or exploring the rocky banks below, guests are treated to a magnificent display of nature's strength and a refreshing break in the heart of the Central African countryside. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues. Bible quote of the day. Romans chapter 11 verse 28 to verse 32 says, "As far as the gospel is concerned, they are enemies for your sake, but as far as election is concerned, they are loved on account of the patriarchs, for God's gifts and his call are irrevocable. Just as you who were at one time disobedient to God have now received mercy as a result of their disobedience, so they too have now become disobedient in order that they too may now receive mercy as a result of God's mercy to you. For God has bound everyone over to disobedience so that he may have mercy on them all."
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.